Right, today we're going to show you how to do a nuclear burst with leather dyes. Got some really great feedback on my last burst like this, so I want to do another one. This blue burl top with the natural binding did not come out right. So I took this to my drum sander, sanded it off, then sanded it with 400 grit to get it nice and clean. To Corinna back. If you look at a color chart, orange and blue turn brown. So I bought this Angelus orange leather dye, and I learned from the last leather dye video is you got to put a good base coat down before you start mixing. So I apply this orange pretty heavily to the body. Let this sit and soak into the body pretty good. I'll put a number of coats on here. Really force this orange into the pores. We'll just rub this in, make sure I cover the blue, get it nice and thick across the body. You can see the blue is starting to turn a little bit brown from the orange. So then what we'll do is we'll grab this Angelus red leather dye. We'll apply that red to the outside for that burst effect. And we'll just rub this in on the outside. We won't go towards the center. We want to leave that center for the yellow. So we'll wipe this in. Some of the leather dye colors are outstanding. This red is one of them. It's a really deep dark red shade. The orange wasn't as orange as I thought it would be. I don't like mixing colors. You know, you can take yellow and red to make orange. I don't really like doing that. I like buying the pure color. And with the price point of these, you can do that. So now that I've got the red in, I'm going to go back with a clean rag now and the Angelus leather dye yellow. We'll dump this on and start rubbing this then in the middle. And we'll start to fade the corners here. Turn the rag and really fade in the corners. And we'll again go back in the middle with the yellow and get it to pop. So we'll come back with a little bit of red on the outside. Switch rags and just go back with the red. Add a little bit more. We're going to come back with one more hit of yellow. We're using the yellow to fade the colors on the side. At this point we're looking pretty good. That blue has really turned to a nice brown and it really highlights the figure well. But from the drum sander I didn't get all of the lines out with my hand sander, so we'll go back, sand these out a little bit. The trick with the coloring to get it to really pop is to pull the coloring off and then add yellow, which is what I was going to do anyway. So we'll just sand out the fine lines that were left. This is my light sander with 400 grit sandpaper. We'll come back now with the Angelus yellow, clean rag, and now it really pops. This is where I consider the trick of the trade here is to sand back and add the lighter color, and I really like this effect. To me it feels like it's lighting the top on fire. It's interesting, as I was doing this, the wood was really soaking up this dye. Didn't understand why it didn't do the first time around, but the second time it really started soaking up the dye. And here now the brown is fully engaged. The blue, the orange, red and yellow really turn that blue to a brown, so you get lots of neat popping and figuring everywhere. Really glad I did this. That blue body was bugging me. So finally with these leather dyes, really got it to pop. So we'll rub this yellow all over the body. It'll drag a little bit of the coloring around, not too much. You can see the rag is slightly colored from the red and the orange, but for the most part it's pretty yellow. So then I've got to feather the top part of the body where I sanded the lines off. And the trick to doing this is you take the red rag and you add a little bit of orange to that, which is what I'm doing here. And you'll just go back and you've got a little bit of the mix of the colors and you don't get the full red in. But it's a great way to fade that top part that had the sanding lines without getting the full red. Sometimes the full red is too much, but a little bit of orange on the red rag really pulls some of the coloring around and gets it all even. So there's a little bit of a line there, so I'll go back and forth to fade it properly. And here we're looking pretty good. So we'll speed this up a little bit. We're going to add one more bit of yellow as a final fade in. There's a little bit of yellow. Get it to bleed in. And now this body looks outstanding. So here we are. We'll put a coat of sanding sealer on and some True Oil. Body went from bland blue to being lit on fire. Got all those sanding marks out on the top. Got the coloring to fade in properly on both tops of the body where the lines were. So thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next vid.